And you can start our time now.
There is no sense in trying to deny that fact, nor my conviction that the end of my long journey through life is rather close.
These are the words of Craig Everett, aged 59, on September 25, 2006, on his way to his apartment where he would be given the medicine to die. Craig had amyotrophic lateral sclerosis, which is a form of fatal motor neuron disease, due to which patients they died in 2 to 3 years due to respiratory compromise or pneumonia. This information was given by PubMed Health, which is a medical journal.
I can't take that risk. I mean, that's really choosing to be tortured rather than to end this journey and start the next one.
This is why he chose to die before his condition worsened and his suffering magnified. Today I will tell you why I support euthanasia and why right to die should be legalized in all the countries. First, I'm going to tell you a bit about the background of euthanasia. According to Euthanasia documentary on YouTube, euthanasia is derived from a Greek word. We can break it up into 2 words, en and thanatos. En means good and thanatos means death. So when we cumulate them, it means good death. According to Britannica Online Encyclopedia, euthanasia is also called mercy death. It is an act or a practice of painless putting to death of patients who are suffering from painful and incurable diseases or incapacitating physical disorder, or allowing them to die by withholding treatment or removing their life support system. For the first time, euthanasia was legalized in Netherlands in 2001, and in Belgium in 2002, in Oregon in USA in 1997, and in South Korea in 2009. South Korea is the last country to legalize it. According to the article, Buddhism, Euthanasia and Sanity of Life, which was published in the Journal of Medical Ethics, it says that euthanasia can be classified into 3 different types. First is voluntary, non-voluntary and involuntary. When euthanasia is conducted with the consent of the patient, it is called voluntary euthanasia. For example, by the use of drug or by assisted suicide, in which the medical people, they give you a very strong drug so that you can go to rest. When euthanasia is conducted where the consent of the patient is not available, like when the patient is in coma, or when child euthanasia, when like small child is born with a terminal disease, their parents, they can decide whether they want the child to suffer throughout his life or not. When euthanasia is conducted against the will of the patient, it is called involuntary euthanasia. For example, a soldier has their stomach blotted open by shell blast. They are in great pain and screaming in agony. They beg the army doctor to save their life, but the doctor knows that he'll die in 10 minutes and he doesn't have any drug to save him. So he prevents the soldier from further agony and pain and shoots him dead. This example was by BBC in their article Voluntary and Involuntary Euthanasia. Now, we all know that there are many arguments regarding euthanasia, regarding their moral, ethical, religious, emotional aspect of euthanasia. So I'm going to discuss some of them with you. First con of euthanasia, why it shouldn't be legalized, why it is wrong. It is stated by Britannica Online Encyclopedia. It states that the religion, Christianity, in their one of their 10 commandments, it says that you shall not kill. They believe that life is precious, it shouldn't be thrown away. I totally agree with this. But I think that
I'm not tired of living. I'm tired of the disease, but I'm not tired of living. And I still enjoy it enough that I'd like to continue. But the thing is that I really can't.
But people like Craig, they cannot afford this. Jasper Emmering, he's a research physician. He wrote on COMM organization that I support legal euthanasia for a number of reasons. First comes the principle of sovereignty of the individual over his own body. Then there is a practical matter. The moral distinction between abstaining from life-saving treatment, palliative sedation, and euthanasia is very murky. For me, it doesn't exist at all. Therefore, it makes no sense that the first two are legal and the third is not. Another con is stated by the American Medical Association. They say that in their article, Decisions Near the End of Life, that euthanasia is a fundamental incompatible with physicians' role as a healer. It would be difficult or impossible to control and would pose a serious risk. The involvement of physicians in euthanasia heightens the significance of its ethical prohibition. The physicians who perform euthanasia assume unique responsibility for the act of ending the patient's life. Euthanasia could be readily extended to incompatible patients and other vulnerable populations. I agree with this, but I think that this is an infrastructure limitation. The government can control these by validating even more stringent guidelines. Dignitas, it is a great example of such thing. It is the organization Craig contacted for his to die, and they have a very stringent method to determine the eligibility of a patient, whether he's eligible to die or he's just kind of wanting to because he lost interest in his life or something like that. They require that the patient has a disease which will lead to death or is terminally ill. It is an incurable, incapacitating disability or unbearable or uncontrollable pain. They also submit a personal letter telling them about their physical conditions, and all their medical records are submitted. And then they decide whether he should be given this right to die or not. One of the most common notions is that euthanasia is a form of suicide. I don't think so.
Necessarily reflect the internal mental state of the person. Let's face it, when you're completely paralyzed, can't talk, can't move your eyes, can't move your arms, how do you let somebody know you're suffering?
As stated by Craig, these terminal illness, they leave the patient mentally, emotionally, and physically exhausted. But when these options are not given to them, they move to alternatives. They commit suicide. According to the Right to Die documentary on YouTube, the number of suicides are increasing among these terminally ill people because they don't have any other option. Now I'm going to talk why I totally agree to this thing. Because it doesn't affect the patient, it affects the economical status of the family also. If the patient is the sole earner of the family, it just affects him so drastically. The additional medical bills, they just add on to the overall stress level of the family. No one considers how it affects the family members. The family members, they aren't only emotionally drained, but to see a family member in so much agony and in so much pain, it has an equal effect on the family. To conclude, I have this thing.
Why should we say no? With what reason should we say no? This should always be the decision of the individual.
Max French in in a quote in dictionary.com says, in the view of fact that the number of people living too long has risen catastrophically and still continues to rise. Now, the question arises, must we live long as modern medicine enables us to? We control our entry into life. Now it is time that we begin our control to exit. Thank you.